نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. With regards to sacrifice, the meat that we get should ideally be distributed into three parts. First part to go to poor people. Second, for our friends and family and neighbors. And third part, to keep it for self, to be consumed on that day or later on. The meat is so blessed that we should try and keep it even for possibly a bit longer. One can actually keep the whole of the sacrificial animal for personal use. It is not a must to distribute any part to anyone, because the idea of sacrifice on that day is not to charity, not to do any charity, rather to come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by letting go of anything that you own. So wealth. It was actually Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, they have agreed on that greatest ever sacrifice of their life, their own son Ismail to be slaughtered. And yet they both, father and son, and obviously mother as well, were contented with that. They had no complaint or concern about that. They knew this is Allah's command, there must be blessing in it. Such is the attitude of complete submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why Allah made him his beloved friend, Khalil. Only two people got this closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala: Ibrahim Khalilullah and Muhammad Khalilullah. Those are the only two prophets who are the best of the prophets and closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obviously all prophets and all pious people, they're all close, but they are really the best friends. Now, since this is not done for charity, to think that, oh, you know what, let's just do it in a country where there may be more poor people, is not right. There is a lot of blessing to be had by consuming that meat. As it is difficult in the West to have your animal slaughtered in the morning and then get the meat ready by the time you finish your prayer or earlier, then it becomes a bit more a tricky situation. So one cannot fulfill the sunnah of having the meat of their sacrifice on the day of Eid. Rather, they get it the next day or in the evening. And some people do not ever get the opportunity to have the meat of their own slaughter. Why? Because they do not even slaughter the animal in the country that they live in, and they get it done elsewhere in their homeland with their relatives, the parents doing the sacrifice on their behalf, and they only get to know the next day that your animal is being done. And they actually are depriving themselves and their family of the blessing of having that virtue of having the meat from that sacrifice. So one should try their best to keep that portion for the next year if possible. If not, then at least have some to do sacrifice elsewhere in other countries as well, but also one in this country, so that we get at least a decent portion of meat which you could offer to your friends, have a party, and also to the poor people if you could find one. Get a nice steak made and then distribute it to poor people. And there are many places where people do their food distribution, inshallah ta'ala. So anyway, 3 parts, but they're not must. And doing one sacrifice in UK as well, in your own country, is always good. If someone has done in their native countries or other countries, poor countries, that's fine as well. But again, remember, this is not done to do the charity. And that is why there's no replacement of sacrifice in the form of financial sacrifice or giving charity. So may Allah give us tawfiq to understand.